What I'll say right now is it's the one area that we're constantly asked to address because currently there is no good skincare product that addresses this area.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business. And today is no exception. Today, I have the opportunity to interview Amber Edwards, who's come all the way up here from down in the San Diego area, right?
Laguna Beach.
Laguna Beach. Terrific. And I've known Amber for years. Amber's at Alastin, recently acquired by Galderma. And first, welcome, Amber. Thank you for coming up and appearing on the show.
Thank you for having me. I feel honored that I've officially made it to mover and shaker status.
Absolutely. You are. Now, what is your new title now that Galderma has taken over Alastin?
Sure. My title is Global Head of Alastin. So
Global Head.
Yeah, we are in very, very rapid growth trajectory mode, and that will include some international expansion. So Dr. Fleming Ornskopf, who you know well,
yes,
asked me to step up into a role to be able to oversee that growth, which of course includes also just working very closely with the other Galderma business units to make sure that we're maximizing every growth opportunity that there is.
Terrific. And we're going to get to that.
Okay.
But first, I want to get to know you a little better, and I know our viewers and listeners would like to also. So let's start with an easy one. Where did you grow up?
That is not an easy one. It's probably the hardest question because I came from a military family.
Okay.
So I am an Army brat, moved around. I think I'm on my 18th place. Wow. So my family is all spread out all over the world, but I've lived everywhere. I've lived throughout the U.S., lived in Korea, lived in London. I consider New York City kind of home because I made it my home. It was the first place I chose to say this is my home, and basically I've spent off and on the last 20 years pretty much with New York as my home.
Okay. So. Where'd you go to school?
University of Arizona.
Okay.
I'm a wildcat.
Yeah. Well, I'm a duck.
I know you are. I know you are.
We've got a little problem there, but I'm going to try to ignore it. Okay. So after you finished your degree in Arizona, what came next?
I became a sales rep with Park Davis Pharmaceuticals. So that was my entrance into the pharmaceutical space. Soon, a couple years later, it was acquired by Pfizer.
Yes.
And that's how I ended up in New York for the first time. So Pfizer actually moved me to New York. I had started as a sales rep working in diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and then in my marketing role at Pfizer in New York, worked across, again, women's healthcare, anxiety and depression, arthritis and pain, and I only bring that up because I think one of the great things about my history and my background is I've really made a point to work in a bunch of different lateral moves in different disease states, different kinds of functions. And I think that's just been really insightful for me to get to know different patient types, different disease states, different physician types.
Right.
So that's,
and you carry that experience with you.
Yes, exactly.
So when did you get into the aesthetic type arena?
In 2004, I received a call from Liana Wood. Not sure if you ever knew Liana, but she was in the early days of Botox Cosmetic.
Okay.
And she knew of me through a friend of a friend and said, look, I'm looking for someone to lead Botox Cosmetic marketing and have heard all about you, think you'd be a great fit. You get to move to California. And so she convinced me to come out. Interviewed with Bob Radigan, who I know you know very well.
Absolutely.
Bob became a mentor to me. I have to give him so much credit for so much of what I learned about marketing. But they ultimately brought me out to Allergan in 2004. So that was the entrance into aesthetics for me.
This is fantastic. So you worked with Bob.
Bob, yes.
Under David Pyatt.
Yes, with David Pyatt. Best CEO of all time.
Agreed. And you rolled out Botox.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and launched Juvederm not too long after that.
I did not know that about you. That is fantastic. I tell my residents and fellows that aesthetics is like the Yahtzee game. You just shake it up and there's company one and then company two. It's the same die, same people. So I did not know that you worked with Brad.
Back in the
yes, a lot of Allergan roots.
Days.
Yeah, and Bob's been on the show, Bob Radigan, who's the CEO of MERS.
Yes.
And he's a dear friend, as you know. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How long did you work at Allergan? We'll start with that.
I was at Allergan about 10 years in total, but I did have some different roles within Allergan. I moved over to the ophthalmology side for a while.
Okay.
So I led Restasis, dry eye, for about 3 years. And then in 2015, they actually sent me over to Europe. And I lived in London, and I was the VP for international for all of aesthetics. So at that point, had the opportunity to launch Juvederm in China. Spent some time.
And that's when you lived in London?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So I had responsibility for everything ex-US for aesthetics. So
Okay.
it was a phenomenal opportunity to just get to know different, again, cultures, different regulatory and legal, implications across the world. Spent some time in Saudi Arabia, which was probably my most fascinating time. Actually sat at the table of the Saudi FDA arguing something for one of our products one point. So really great experience. I would encourage anybody out there, if you have the opportunity and you can, from a personal perspective, go live abroad, do it. Do it. You learn so much.
So how many years were you out of the U.S. then?
3 years.
3.
Yeah, 2015 to 18.
Out of curiosity, because you were with Allergan OUS, Philippe, did you work with Philippe during that time?
Absolutely, Philippe,
And
of
how about
course.
Endicott?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We all, it's like one big family that we all
Yeah.
kind of.
I'm trying to get
Went through
David
this whole
Endicott
journey
on the
together.
program. Philippe's been on, of course,
Yes,
you
I
know
heard
that.
Philippe, yep.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So then what brought you back?
2018 came. I think the company was going through a lot of changes, and I felt like I was ready to, I'd been at these big companies, Pfizer and Allergan, and I kind of felt like I wanted the challenge of a startup. I wanted the challenge of something small and kind of wanted to test my own, what can I do and see
Right.
if I could actually build and establish and grow something. And I had the opportunity. I had met Chris Spooner with Sinclair Pharma over in Europe, and he was looking for someone to take the helm of running the U.S. Organization to launch Sinclair in the U.S.
Okay.
So Sinclair had one product approved at that point, which was a Silhouette Instalift, which is a thread.
Yes.
But the bigger goal was to launch their biostimulating filler.
Okay.
And that's really why, I took the role, because I was incredibly excited to launch that filler in the U.S. The FDA was not quite so easy with that, but the biggest thing that happened was COVID. So we were, I had a team of about 30 people here. I think that's one of the first times I met you, was at a meeting. Things were taking off. The product was doing well. We had our momentum just going, and I'll never forget, I think it was March 6th, 2020, got the phone call saying, it's just not the right time for us to invest in the U.S. And, it was very painful. In hindsight, they were correct, clearly. But that was hard. I felt like I was letting a lot of people down. I had a big team of people who were looking to me to help make this happen. And out of my control, but still, disappointing. Definitely, I guess getting kicked in the stomach once in a while in your career is probably a good thing for some humility. You learn a lot. You learn a lot of empathy. And then you pick up the pieces, and sometimes better things happen, which is what happened with me.
That's right. So when did you get the call from Diane or whoever called?
Immediately.
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 I remember meeting you incidentally when we talked about the threads, Sinclair.
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
the table where I met
Octane.
you. Yes, that's
Yep,
right.
We were both sitting in the back.
That's
Yeah,
right. And I remember it. And then
Yeah.
COVID hit.
It did.
And then next thing I heard,
6 weeks later.
you were with Alastin. So-
Exactly. Things happen. So I have two very, very dear friends from my Allergan days, Elizabeth Sandoval and Lynn Salo. Both were on the board of directors for Alastin. And so they knew that I was out in California. I had come out to California really just thinking I'd ride out COVID, for a couple of months from New York. And they mentioned that, hey, there's a CCO position open. The company's at a point where it's really scaling up, and they felt like I'd be the right person to come in and help kind of take it to the next level. Clearly, the foundation and the brilliance of Alastin was already in place, but to help it grow and take it to the next level. And so I think Elizabeth called Diane Goostrey, the CEO, former CEO, just as of recently.
Yes.
But she called me, and I think what really got me hooked was speaking with Alan Woodrow, who you know very well.
Absolutely.
And, at first I was like, skincare, I'm not going to do skincare. I mean, skincare is all smoke and mirrors. And then I met Alan, and
And you saw the science.
And well, that's exactly. You talk to him, and the passion is so infectious. And you hear about his history in wound healing and how he's brought all of that science and true practical, everything he did as a plastic surgeon. He's brought it to this product line, and I was sold.
Well, we have that in common, because I remember the day I met Alan at a meeting in a little tiny booth tucked way far away, when their sales would it was like nothing. $2 million. It was nothing. It was like 6 years before the exit. And he showed me the histology. And frankly, I called BS on it. I thought, no way. But he's in Irvine, as you know. And so we did some histology ourselves and did a little split face on me and some others. And that's when I realized, we did split face with Halo. Okay. And with the nectar on one side and another product not to be named, and inert product, and it was remarkable that I healed faster on the side with the trihexpeptide or the nectar.
Yep.
And then I did it on a number of patients and some staff, and then took some biopsies on me, and I realized that Alan. It wasn't BS. It was real.
You tried to prove him wrong, and you couldn't.
Well, yeah, because I'm skeptical.
Yeah, of course.
And I know there's Photoshop and various things, and I thought, I don't know, these claims about restructuring fibroblasts and new collagen, new elastin and all, they were pretty heady claims, right? I mean, absolutely. And they didn't really have a long track record. And then 100% growth year after year. And you entered what year of the company, or what was your?
2020.
2020. So you were at the helm there, and you doubled the growth, you doubled the revenue each year you were there. That's amazing to me. And more importantly, look at the people's lives you impacted. I mean, it's just an amazing product. And I'm not trying to sell anyone on it. It's already been bought by Galderma, but it's on my face right now, and every day it's on my face.
Yeah, I think that's what comes across so loud and clear with this brand is it's the passion for this is so authentic. We have so many people on a regular basis. We hear physicians speaking about it on the podiums at conferences, and I'll reach out to my team and say, hey, like, who are we working with him? And they'll say no, like he just loves it. He's actually talking about it because he really loves it.
Yeah.
So that's great to see.
Well, it is very infectious. There's no question. Once you get on the Alastin line, it is hard to shake it. There's so many fabulous products. We could spend the rest of the show just talking about the products. But rather than do that, can you tell me about what's happening now with now Alastin is going to go global, which before it was all U.S., right?
Yes.
And now you're going to go global. Are you going to hit the whole globe, or how are you going to do that? Who are you going to target first? And share the future of Alastin with us?
Definitely. You know the history of Alastin. What's put us on the map is the credibility with physicians, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And procedure space. So that's really the area. Our founders had phenomenal foresight to say, hey, nobody's in this peri-procedure space. Let's get in there and let's do something really spectacular here. And so that's where our roots are. That's where our credibility is. And so as I think about what markets we're going to go to, and I have hired a head of international, which is great. She's kind of leading the pathway there. But there's really three things that we're looking at. First and foremost, I want to go to markets where physician-dispensed is allowed. There are many countries where physicians are not allowed to sell product for profit. So many. In fact, one of Galderma's strongest markets, Brazil, physicians are not allowed to sell. So we actually can't go in with this business model. Not to say we won't go there eventually, but I'm prioritizing markets where we can launch exactly the same way that we did in the U.S. We want to get in. We want to work with partners like laser companies. We want to partner with our injectable friends over on the other side of Galderma and make sure that we go there first. Second, regulatory. We're, of course, going through all of the ingredient checks. And the good news is we're good to go there. So that's not going to hold us back. And then, of course, market size. So I will tell you without giving too much information away, if you think about the English-speaking markets that follow a similar business model that the U.S. does, that's where we're focused. And we did actually launch in Canada at the end of 2020. So that was our first international market.
I recall that. Yeah.
And they've done unbelievably well. I think have exceeded, we have a distributor there right now. But they've been a fantastic partner and have done a great job. A lot with the help of Dr. Jean Carruthers, who you've also had
Yes.
on the show. She
And our dear friend.
I think she sought out Alan and said, "I've heard about this. I need to try it." Fell in love with it, and similar to you, has just been an incredible cheerleader and ambassador for it.
And we love Jean. She's
Best.
She's
Doesn't
the
get
best.
better.
So, okay. How about South America, Central America? Are you going to go to non-English speaking countries at
We
all?
will, definitely. So Asia is by far the biggest from
Okay.
a pure market size and financial perspective. The
Sure.
JPAC region is by far the biggest. I think China, of course, and Japan is the second biggest outside of the U.S. and then China. It's the next biggest market for skincare. So I think there's a phenomenal opportunity there. But I'm looking at where Galderma has a strong presence. South America, I'd love to get to eventually, but we do have to look at some potentially different business models at that point. Do you go more through a digital presence? Do you go through more of a retail presence if doctors can't sell it?
Yeah.
And I'm just cautious about that because at the end of the day, my number one partner is the healthcare provider.
Right.
And I want to make sure that we're always first and foremost doing what we can to support providers.
Right.
So that becomes a delicate topic for me. I want to
That's a
focus
slippery
first.
slope.
It is.
If you start putting that in CVS or the drugstores
Yeah.
across the world,
Yep.
it's going to come back across the oceans back, and the physicians are going to lose their ability to distribute it.
So something I'm very, very conscious of, and we'll be careful, with whatever approach we take. But that would be a ways away. I'm going to focus on the markets where we can stay physician-dispensed first.
Excellent. As a physician, I appreciate
Yes.
that. And I know you are doing online sales because I participate in that.
Yes, through Alastin.com. And where we really try to support healthcare providers again there is through microsites, which I know you have. And we have a lot of accounts who have, it's become a fantastic, just passive, income on the side. They don't have to do anything. We launched this when COVID hit, right at the beginning of COVID, set up microsites at that point. It was about 2,500 accounts.
That was brilliant.
But, every account we have on board gets a microsite, basically a customized URL that can go on your website. And so your patients can purchase Alastin, really the idea being to replenish. We want them to get their first supply when they come in and get a procedure,
Okay.
right? But we want them, for convenience reasons, to be able to get a replenishment or perhaps try some new products that you may not have in practice, but the doctor gets the credit for it.
I love that. Thank
I
you.
know you do.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Now, I want to touch on a few product lines. Let's talk sunscreens first.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about where you're at now with your sunscreens and where you may be headed, if you can share that.
Yeah, absolutely. First, just if I could take a step back on the portfolio as a whole, one of the things I think makes us a little different than other brands is we do not want to have 50 or 60 SKUs. We just don't.
Thankfully.
The feedback, right? Yeah, we always get the feedback that it can be so overwhelming. It's very confusing, not only for patients but even for staff. When you have so many SKUs. So we have fewer than 20 products right now, and I would really like to keep it that way. So we are constantly thinking about, let's not launch something unless it has a great deal of innovation behind it. We have the scientific story behind it. We don't want Me Too products. Don't need to waste our time with that. So we've tried to focus only on those truly innovative products. We do have 2 sunscreens, and I will tell you they are unbelievably popular. As you know, Hydrotent.
Yeah.
I think Hydrotent has led the way to a lot of women no longer wearing foundation because you wear Hydrotent. It gives a beautiful glow, and it's really kind of a universal glow. It's not a specific color. It just has a glow to it that just helps to make the skin look a little bit more even, a little bit more sun-kissed, and has incredible protection. In addition to that, we have one of our newer products. So in the fall, about a year ago now, almost a year ago, we launched our sensitive skin line. We wanted to have a cleanser and a moisturizer that would be even more appropriate immediately post-procedure, so a cream-based cleanser, and then an ultra-light moisturizer. And at the same time, we launched Silk Shield, which is our untinted sunscreen that literally feels like silk. It feels like no other sunscreen. You put it on your hand, it immediately absorbs and just feels silky smooth. Doesn't leave any sticky, kind of tacky residue. But again, it's been a huge hit for us. Our sensitive skin line is It's about 200% over our forecast. It has blown our expectations. So that those products are great.
I remember when I was first exposed to it, and on a commercial basis up in Santa Barbara. And the number of men that we have now on that Silk Shield is quite phenomenal, and even on the Hydrotint. I have it on right this moment. Do you have Hydrotint on right now?
Always. Yeah. Every day.
Erin has replaced her foundation with Hydrotint. I have it on my whole face right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not just for women, that's for sure.
Right.
And it just blends right into your skin.
It does. It's been a great gateway, I think, for some younger patients too. We see a lot of younger consumers who are not quite getting procedures yet, who love Hydrotint. They fall in love with that. It's a good price point as well. And then, once we get them into our email system, we are talking about procedures. We're talking about see your doctor. We're talking about the whole procedure line and kind of helping to guide them, hopefully helping them to get into the doctor's office.
That kind of reminds me of the drug dealer model.
Right? Give them a little teaser and then yank them in.
So you ventured into body treatments.
Yes, we have.
And you have two. You started with
Transform.
Transform. Tell us a little bit about Transform, and then let's go to the next one too.
Yeah, because we have 2 product launches this year, and then one more coming.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
That I know, and I'm deciding how much I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay.
But so Transform was our first body product, and the sort of the origin was, again, thinking about procedures. Everything was about how do we complement, enhance, and accelerate recovery from procedures. And we had great success with the face, and clearly cool sculpting, and other types of body sculpting procedures. That I think it might be the fastest growing area, especially since COVID. I think a lot of people
body
put on
contouring.
A little bit of COVID weight, and everybody wants the body contouring right now. And Transform, Alan, again, from our R&D, as well as John Garudo, our brilliant formulator, really thought about how can we create a body product that can actually get in and speed up the autophagy process. The procedure itself is going to kill the fat cells. Can we create a topical that will get in and penetrate the skin to actually help move out those dead fat cells faster, so that you can see your results quicker? And once again, the data, that the work that they did, Alan, as a rule, every product that we launch goes through first gene expression. So through the labs, we look at what's upregulated, what's downregulated, which ingredients work most synergistically together. Then it goes into histology, as you mentioned. We have a lot of people who've volunteered a lot of biopsies, I think, over the years. And then third is an actual clinical trial. So we try to cover all those bases to make sure we get really solid data. And with Transform, we did that. And then very exciting, I mentioned that Dr. Jean Carruthers wanted to get involved with Transform, but for a different purpose. She was putting it on her forearms and said she just could not believe that she was seeing the crepiness start to go away in her skin. And so more recently, I would say almost half of our sales now for Transform are purely for crepey skin. We have some new data looking above the knees. Those areas that get crepey skin.
The arms, the elbows,
absolutely.
The knees. I have patients, we put everyone on it. Yes.
Absolutely.
No question.
Yeah. So since then, that's been a great success. I think it's our 3rd top selling product consistently.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's great. But, Alan is a plastic surgeon, and he has a passion for working with plastic surgeons. And there has not ever been a product that was really meant to go with surgery. And, we're constantly asked for bigger sizes of Nectar, bigger sizes of Enhance, which we didn't talk about, but that's really for bruising and swelling, right? And then Transform for speeding up the, accelerating the result process. And Alan had this idea. He called me up and said, what if we took Transform, Nectar, and Enhance? We took the best of each of those, the best ingredients, the Trihex platform, plus some of the other chromophade technology for bruising. And then I added in some scar prevention, additional ingredients. And we put this all into one product. And we put it out there specifically to support plastic surgeons for their patients to start using, a few weeks pre-surgery, ideally body surgeries like, the abdominoplasties, liposuction, all of that. And then they use it for, 4 to 6 weeks afterwards to help, again, reduce the risk of scarring, help with that swelling, all the edema that you get. And he had this idea. And so we created and launched Reform and Repair. It's our only product that stands out as a dark blue product. Everything else is white. Launched that back. We kind of, did some early experience, as you were part of, at the end of last year, and then did a full-blown launch in January.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kind of the first of its kind. And we're still getting the word out about that. It's, reaching a different audience.
Yes, indeed. We're putting all of our patients on it ahead of surgery, breast surgery, body surgery, and then afterwards, as you mentioned, 4 to 6 weeks. And it does make a difference. Dr. Cassis, Lori Cassis in Chicago, did some beautiful research to confirm that, along with Alan's preliminary research.
Yeah, absolutely. We had some converts, some plastic surgeons who I swear would never use skincare. They swore, I'm a surgeon, I will never do skincare. We've converted.
Indeed, and I'm one of them.
There you go.
Now, you mentioned Enhance, and now you're with Galderma. So why don't we talk a little bit what Enhance is and how you can partner up with the injectables of Galderma. So let everyone know about Enhance.
Perfect. So Enhance was launched a few years ago. I think right at the beginning. I believe it was at the very beginning of COVID, just predated me. And Enhance was really brought to market once again because we wanted to support procedures. And what's the most popular procedure by far? Any kind of injectable, whether it's neuromodulators or fillers. But in particular, we know with fillers, especially in some sensitive areas like the lips, the tear trough, bruising is very prevalent. Even with the best of injectors, right?
Correct.
If somebody is prone to bruise, they're going to bruise. And so we launched Enhance to be able to essentially help with the bruising and swelling immediately. So it comes in a smaller tube. It has a great little cool tip applicator that feels really good when you put it right on, right after a procedure. And the results are incredible. It just helps to alleviate that bruising much quicker than if there was nothing at all. So that, that's been a great, and it had a lot to do with our partnerships with Galderma. So yes, we were just acquired back in January of this year, but the partnership with Galderma actually started several years ago. We started doing some collaborations with them, and a great example was when they launched Kiss, right? When Restylane Kiss launched, they had the idea to create a great little giveaway bag that included Enhance in it.
Yes.
And so we, since then we've done 2 or 3 partnerships with them a year, various collaborations, not only for an Enhance and Kiss, but also with Sculptra, with Dysport, different things that we can do just to show, we think we're very synergistic. We work with a lot of the same physicians. It's the same patient population. We have, a lot of the same values and just culture and how we work together. And it was a great fit. So I think when it came time for Fleming to think about expanding their portfolio and coming into the premium, physician-dispensed skincare world, it just made sense. We were the perfect partner for them.
I couldn't agree more. So I noticed you brought your crystal ball today. Can you look into it and tell our listeners and our watchers at home what you see over the next 3 to 5 to even 10 years in the aesthetics business? You've been in it long enough, and you're at the helm here of the fastest growing skincare line in the aesthetic space, if not all skincare. What are we going to be looking at in the years to come?
Yeah, I think a number of things. One, on the product side, and I'll speak to skincare, I think people want natural, they want efficacy. I think we have to demand, as consumers and physicians, we have to demand more evidence to support claims. There's a lot of fad and buzzy words out there all the time that are not proven. And we need to demand that evidence. We also need to, as a manufacturer like Galderma, we need to make sure that we commit to delivering that evidence as well. And we've done that recently with some even just daily products. We launched HA Immerse in March, which is a fantastic product with a proprietary peptide, octapeptide 45, which helps the endogenous production of hyaluronic acid. And we all know the importance of HA, right? Just it's a naturally occurring ingredient, but we need to keep the skin hydrated. We also have another product coming in a couple of months, which I can tell you what I'll say right now is it's the one area that we're constantly asked to address because currently there is no good skincare product that addresses this area. So,
whoa.
Thoughts? By the time this airs, I think we'll actually be, in the market. So I will let you know that we're getting into the pigment space, and we have a game changer. We have a game changer.
I love it.
We will be
a topical.
a topical that we actually had the guts to go head to head against hydroquinone,
I was just
which
going to
people
ask.
just don't do. We went up against 4% hydroquinone, and our goal was to be as good as. Not only were we as good as, but in some measures we were superior.
I love it.
It is a game changer. It is a product that can be used for the long term, as opposed to hydroquinone, as you know, which you can only
Irritates
use for
the
a
skin.
short period, has a lot of adverse events. And we finally, I think we almost launched a pigment product a few years ago before I came on board.
That's true.
And they didn't have good data, so made the decision not to launch it. But now we have the game changer.
Fantastic.
So that's my point about what's coming in the future is products with evidence, right, to support
Yes.
the claims. But the other big thing I think that we all, as manufacturers and physicians, providers, have to recognize is, yes, we might be on the other side of COVID, but things are not normal. The world has changed. And I think our patient and consumer has changed, especially younger generations, right? One, we've all learned that you can be very effective and productive remote, right? So I think digital, reaching people through digital channels is more important than ever, because a lot of people are not going back into the office. A lot of people have learned to take information digitally. Even the conferences right now, always have amazing faculty, but participation from non-faculty, just participants, is low.
Yes.
So I think we all need to realize that there's a lot of in-person meetings, but we could be doing a lot more remote. We have just launched on August 8th, we launched a long-awaited learning management system, a full digital platform where we now have about 10 modules that we can support. And we kept hearing our physicians say, turnover is at an all-time high. Right? Are you finding that keeping staff right now is incredibly difficult? This great resignation, a lot of people just don't want to work. And so there's always new staff members coming into the practice. So we started investing about a year and a half ago in creating a very comprehensive online education platform. And so now with any of our physician partners, we can provide, and you can choose what level of sort of watch you want to have to see if they finish the whole module, what they score, all of that. But or you can choose just to let them take it on their own time. But we have modules for general skincare as well as all of our products, as well as even some business things like microsites, right? So I think we have to learn how to communicate and work with people in a way that's more digital and more remote. And then the second piece of that is people want convenience. They want things at their fingertips and they want things convenient. So I think we all have a challenge, all providers and manufacturers have a challenge ahead of us to figure out how can we deliver quality care with efficacy, with evidence, but in a way that's going to be very accessible and convenient for patients. And I don't know what the answer to that is yet. I don't have, my crystal ball's not that good, but I do know that we can't just be status quo. We can't do we can't do things the way that we always have. We have to recognize and accept that the world has changed.
You're absolutely right. And I look forward to you solving those issues and having you back on the program in 3 to 5 years, and we'll look and see how you have solved those problems. But those are issues before all of us in the office and out. So I want to thank Amber Edwards for being with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've learned a ton, and I can't wait to see you at the next meeting. I know you're going to the meetings, and I'll be there, and I'll be seeing you.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank all of you for joining us today, once again, on the Technology of Beauty. And as you just saw, I had the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business, and Amber is no exception. Thank you very much. Safe travels. It's my pleasure. You take care.